Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. We have the Dlink Dir-615, the older version. They do have a new 615. Mind you, it's discontinued now too, but at least Amazon still has some, at least at Amazon.ca, for about $67, which I think that's a little expensive, to be honest, for something that's also discontinued, right? Now, here's the basic layout, so I'm going to give it to you, okay? I bought this thing not with the intentions of using it, but I have to test it anyways because I did plan on just reselling it eventually, either way. But I did buy it just to get the little rubber feeties off the bottom for my Magic trackpad, and turns out they don't work, so back on they go. So I kind of took a bath on that one. So I should be able to at least break even when I sell this thing and get my money back. At least I didn't pay much, so I'm okay there. These things are only selling between $10 to $30 used for this exact model of 615. The newer 615 might sell for about that or a little bit more, only because it's sexier looking, you know. But it's still a 615 regardless. I don't know the full specs on that one, if they improved anything, like maybe they put a 5 gigahertz band in. I didn't read that far in depth. I just saw, hey, Amazon link. Doesn't look the same, but it is the same, kind of, sort of. And Amazon doesn't give us a lot of specs. So, hey, I'm not researching that one. I'm reviewing this version of it. So, hey, take it for what it is there. But we do only have one band of 2.4 gigahertz. It's wireless, and, of course, security encryption is good on your wireless up to Wpa2, which is fine for pretty much any computer. But we do have some limitations to this thing, okay? Up to 300 on the 2.4 gigahertz band, okay? They rate the range to 50 meters, which is a little over around 150 feet, okay? And it's kind of like, well, you know, I'm not sure if it'll hit that range, but you never know, okay? The more antennas you have, the more powerful antennas you have, well, you're going to exceed the ranges pretty good, or get to those ranges. But it's still an up to thing, right? It's in idealistic conditions, generally full line of sight, you know, not off sideways, you know, where my shop is. So, you know what I mean? Anyhow, Ethernet port on this thing, though, that's a disappointment. That only does up to 100 megabits per second on the ports. And I'm like, huh? That doesn't make any sense. They should be equivalent to. But nope, they're 3 times slower on the up to rating. I looked it up and I thought, that's kind of weird. And so I found a forum. Guy says, well, why are the ports slower than my Wi-Fi? My Wi-Fi does better, you know, and I'm only getting like 87.5 out of the Ethernet port. And nobody really has a straight answer on that. You know, even when you look at the manuals for routers, they give you a lot of specs on Wi-Fi, but they don't really give you a ton load on the Ethernet, you know, and it's kind of like, but it should be equivalent, right? You would think. Not in this case. Anyways, but it's wireless and router, so it does cover BGN and 2 others. Doesn't cover anything other than that, which is fine. That's kind of the common stuff. Wpa2 encryption on the top side, but does cover a number of other security protocols, so you're all good to go even for older systems. Wpa2 is still in use right now, but it is slowly being phased out, or quickly being phased out, whichever way you want to put it. I do know that with our new gigabit router we just picked up from Dlink, we have no choice with our newer computers. We have to use Wpa3 encryption for Wi-Fi. Otherwise, we get errors on all of our devices saying, your system is not secured. And it's like, you know, yet my old Mac didn't crab at that, but, you know, the newer stuff does. So it's like, well, now we got all this horsepower in a router, and we already had the super high horsepower internet, which we're loving to death, finally. Yeah, I guess we're using WP3 encryption, and so I piggybacked our older router off the back of the 1 gigabit one in order to still run my older Mac. So either way, I win. Just means that you know, that's the way it is. So with this thing, the newer model is $67, discontinued though on Amazon. I would not buy it, okay? This thing, you know, averages $10 to $30 used. I'm going to say this, okay, even for the one I guess on Amazon too. Like I said, I wouldn't buy it myself. But if you have a slow connection coming in as it is, okay, so you're basically well under, okay, then I would say probably for you, if you can't get a faster connection to your house or you don't want anything faster, then you don't need a high-end router. You just need something cheap that's going to work, okay? So in that case, sure, I'd say go ahead and buy this thing. Anywhere between $10 to $30 used, or if you want the brand new, sexier, sleeky version of this, while Amazon still has them, they do have these for $67, okay? However, I think you could still do better than this anyway for around the same money. I'd have to do some research on Best Buy's website and a few others, but I'm pretty sure we can find something with dual bands and a lot faster Ethernet port capabilities for about the same money. It's just kind of one of those things. But on the used market, though, you're not going to get something higher performance level for $10 generally, right? Unless you find it at Value Village. We find all kinds of cool stuff at Value Village. Our other router we bought from there, I can't remember what we paid. It was like under $20. And that was our Belkin router, which, like I said, I'm using that on my old Mac. It was under $20, works absolutely fine, but we were also lacking the speeds that we know we have coming in. And we finally figured out how to get around that, and that meant a gigabit router. And we got that for $20 at Value Village. Perfectly fine working condition, 4 antennas on the thing, gigabit ports that are actually running fine. And the speeds are just insane now. It's like, oh, this is what we were missing out on, real speed. So yeah, but this thing's only going to do, you know, about 87.5 according to this one guy, because these ports are only 100, where the Wi-Fi you do much better on. But I don't know, it's kind of one of those things. Depends on if you want lag or not. There's virtually no detectable lag on Ethernet, where Wi-Fi can lag out. Definitely, because all kinds of things can screw with a Wi-Fi signal, so that's something to think about. Maybe faster, but it's not quite as stable as Ethernet, so it's kind of where you're at on that one. But if you don't have that massive of a connection, you're well within the boundaries of this. And like I said, if you can't afford a faster one or you can't get a faster one, this will suit you just fine. All you need to do to basically figure these things out when you're buying used is plug it in, and the lights should light up. Not all of them, of course, because Ethernet ports generally don't light up until they're active. But I would say if you're buying it personal from a guy or a girl directly from their house for pickup kind of thing, like marketplace deals, thoroughly test it first. Make sure everything is fine on it, and then you know you're good to go at that point. Now, one thing I would also suggest too, if they didn't already do it, make sure you do, is push and hold on the reset button with the power on for about 15 seconds, let it go, and it resets the entire thing to factory, which means you can just sign right in without a password, which you're going to need to do anyway, and then you type in that 192.168 blah blah the number, okay? Get into the programming and set it up yourself. Put a secure password on it, which the Wpa encryption stuff, or Wp or whatever, that's all for Wi-Fi use. There's none of that required for Ethernet. You can just plug it in and go and you're done. But because the Wi-Fi is not protected, period, anybody could log in. So make sure that regardless, even if you're not using the Wi-Fi, make sure there's a password on your Wi-Fi. So this way you won't have anybody surfing off you for free. So here we go. For what this thing is, I will give it really. We have to take into consideration the Wi-Fi is 3 times the speed of the Ethernet ports, which is really not a cool thing. I have to put this thing myself at 3.5 out of 5. Okay? Now, I'm only going to recommend you buy it if and only if you don't need anything better than this based on your incoming connection capabilities, okay? That's the only way I'd recommend this thing. Even the brand new version for 67 bucks that's also now discontinued too, I would not recommend that one either, except for those situations, okay? The Ethernet ports should be a lot faster, but they're definitely not, okay? It reminded me of our Rogers Rocket Hub. The Wi-Fi was pretty quick, and so we thought, well, the Ethernet should be faster, it's supposed to be. Well, it was even slower, and it's like, that's really bad. You know, it's like, no way. Not a cool thing. So that definitely tells me to deter you in that instance, okay, on that one side of it. But on the other side, like I said, if your connection isn't past 100 coming in anyway, you know, the Ethernet ports, they're not going to go past 100, you know. The Wi-Fi is only going to go past 100 in ideal conditions, and if your incoming signal to your house is definitely capable of going into that range. So that's the thing about Wi-Fi and these ratings is people don't understand. Even if it's 1200 megabits or 1700 megabits per second Wi-Fi, you'll never see anywhere close to that. You won't even see 100 unless you have 100 coming in capable for Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? You understand? So on one side of the fence, it's nice and pretty for the numbers, but your connection has to support through your internet provider to be able to reach and attain those speeds. So anyway, that's where we're at, 3.5. I think it's worth, to me honestly, if I was looking for one and this is in what I required, I would not suggest more than 20 bucks tops, okay? And that's for this one or their newer one. Okay, I would not pay more than 20 bucks used, okay? They're not worth more than that, considering the options on the brand new side. But if you don't have a lot of money, I still say $20 tops. Do not pay more than that for this router, because it's not really worth more than that in my opinion, especially with the slower Ethernet ports. Like, I could see if the ports were 200 and the Wi-Fi is 3, that might be a little bit more acceptable, but when they're rated, when the Ethernet ports are actually at 3 times lesser speed than the Wi-Fi, that's ridiculous, okay? It really honestly is. So, that's where we're at. Where I'm at, I'm going to wrap up this video for you guys, and then I'm going to just get this thing prepped for sale and post it up online, because I don't need it anyways, because the feedies didn't work out for me. And at least I've tested it and I know it works perfectly fine, so I have no problem in reselling it to anybody, because I didn't even care if it did work when I bought it. I just kind of figured, well, I'll plug it in. If the lights light up, I got a pretty good chance, but then I did actually test it today and it actually does work absolutely fine. So it's like, well, double win there. Somebody else can have this thing and they can make use of it, but I have no use for it myself. So anyway, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll have to see what else I got kicking around here I can review for you guys. See ya.